Guitar electronics really freak people out. So what we're gonna do is break this down into some building blocks. I'm gonna start with soldering. A few videos ago, I did a pot replacement, but you didn't really get to see a lot of the close-up, hands-on stuff that I was doing. So I'm gonna teach you how to do it. You're gonna need a couple of tools. One, soldering iron, at least a 40-watt iron. A 25-watt iron is not gonna do it. You'll need some solder. I personally like the thinnest rosin core stuff that I can get, because basically soldering is just low-temperature welding. We need wire strippers, needle nose, because if you haven't burned yourself, then you're not doing it right. Heat shrink, a lighter, or a heat gun to be able to crank that down. I've also got a little vise here that I use for just holding components and what have you. I've got here just a 500K pot. What I want to do is I want to turn it into a volume control. If we look here, I'm going to take lug 3 here and I'm going to bend that over with my needle nose pliers until that lug touches the case. So keep the tip of the soldering iron nice and clean, then I will tin it, meaning I will just put some solder on it. Now I'm going to touch the component with my soldering iron. I'm going to let that get nice and hot so then I can flow the solder into the component. The solder joint itself should be nice and shiny. If it's not, and it's sort of cloudy, it could be a cold solder joint. Now, a cold solder joint can still work, but it can be very intermittent. Say I want to connect a wire to this. So here at Novo, we use cloth-covered wire. To show that, I can either push that back or I can use my strippers. I don't need any stripper jokes. Strip back about 1/8 of an inch. That's all you need. And I'll clean up any of the stragglers just with a lighter. Just like I did over here, I'm going to heat up my wire and then I'm going to melt solder into the wire itself. So now I can come over to the component, do the same thing. I'm going to tin this lug. Now I don't need any solder. I've got solder on my wire. I've got solder on my component. I just heat the two up, melts that together. I should be able to pick up the vise. That's a good solder joint. With braided wire, which you'll find on a lot of vintage style pickups or the stuff that we use here, we can strip that stuff back as well, just the braid. Then strip back the cloth for the hot wire. Then we can solder the braid to our ground and then the black to our hot. We use heat shrink to make sure that it doesn't bust into like any other component and ground something out. It will end up closing a circuit and shunting your signal. So you can put the heat shrink on, heat it up with a wire, and now you've got a really good insulator for your braided ground. So when you're soldering, you want to keep everything clean. Do your best to not touch the soldering iron to the guitar body or any other components, or more specifically you. That's how we solder.